we continue our tier ranking now for the redraft.
That's
leagues.
right, baby.
Okay. Redraft formats, PPR format. So we are going to be collectively coming up with a wide receiver tier ranking. Now, these have been interesting videos. We've done them on our Dynasty channel. We did a redraft one last week.
Yeah.
For running backs. You can check that out on the channel as well. And these are always interesting because Badaki and I see players differently. And now we're trying to create a collective list.
Correct.
So you might see some bargaining for certain players. But let's go ahead and start with the S tier here. Again, redraft, PPR formats, S tier is Cooper Kupp at the top for you.
Absolutely. It has to be Cooper Kupp. By the way, if I'm looking down, it's because I'm on my iPad. Just to be clear, I'm not looking down because I don't want to look at you guys' beautiful faces, or you guys can see my beautiful face.
Wow.
Cooper Kupp is definitely in the S tier. Look, I let me just preface this. This was a tough video to make. I was going back and forth, or a tough tier to make. I was going back and forth to see who the hell to put in these tiers, because even the S tier, I was stumped.
I felt good about the S tier, but every other tier, I was.
Stumped.
It really challenges your rankings and the tiers in your rankings.
100%.
Because you're saying to yourself, would I really draft that guy around this player? So
100%.
Cooper Kupp's at the top here. Who else?
Justin Jefferson.
JJ?
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase are for sure solidified guys. I was struggling to because I really wanted to put Diggs and Adams here. Just because of the pure workload in their offense that they're in. Maybe not Davante Adams as much anymore, but I think Stephon.
So what's changed with Davante Adams then for you?
The quarterback, clearly. It's the quarterback play. It's
okay.
And I think
so he was never in this tier 1 for you.
He was he with Aaron Rodgers, yes, but not.
No, I'm asking this year because I feel like we made a video recently, and I don't know if he was or wasn't.
No, he wasn't. He is not in my tier 1 anymore.
Okay,
he was in my tier 1, but he's no longer in my tier 1.
I actually feel more comfortable with Adams than I do with Jamar Chase personally in redraft.
Okay. That's fair.
So I have Davante Adams actually in between Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, but so I'm just kind of telling you where I currently stand.
You have him. Right.
So the way I view this S tier is these are all players that I think could finish as the wide receiver 1. So everyone in this tier I'm looking at and I'm thinking, yes, they can be the wide receiver 1. The volume is there, the offense is there, and the target share is there. So I have Diggs and Adams both in this tier. You don't have them in this tier because I'm asking the question because I feel like the players in my A tier, I don't view anywhere near the way I view Adams and Diggs.
No, and that was the hard part for me because I do believe Diggs and Adams could still finish as wide receiver 1. I think there's no break in talent. There's no break in what can happen. If I had to put someone in the A tier or in the S tier, is going to be Stephon Diggs over Davante Adams.
Well, then we have to meet in the middle there.
Yeah, purely based on the offense and how I believe it's going to be moving forward.
Well, if you're going to advocate for Diggs, and I'll advocate for Adams.
Yeah, and I'm happy to put all these 5 guys in the S tier.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
I have all of them in the S tier.
Okay,
I just have them ranked in a different way. I would Davante Adams is my wide receiver 3 this year.
Okay.
I just feel like the amount of money that he's going to get, the connections he's already had with Carr, there's no reason to think that he can't lead the league in targets. Like that's probably not the most likely scenario, but there's no reason for me to believe that can't happen. And again, with my S tier, because I'm going to tell you what every tier is to me. With this one, these are all players that can be the wide receiver 1 this year.
Okay.
I believe in all of these guys, their target share, the offense that they're in, and obviously talent. So if you advocate for Diggs, I'm going to advocate for Adams to be in there.
I think that's fair, and I think that makes it really even. I have struggled really hard with Diggs and Adams just in the beginning of this video already. But
that's funny because I feel like the S tier was the one I felt the most confident about. But as we go, this is going to get interesting.
That's what's so tough about it.
Okay, A tier. I have CeeDee Lamb at the top of this.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have CeeDee Lamb at the top of this?
I do have CeeDee Lamb as well, correct.
Okay. I also have Mike Evans in this tier.
I have Mike Evans in the tier, correct.
Okay. I have Tyreek in this tier.
I have Tyreek in this tier.
This is where it might get interesting. I have T. Higgins in this tier.
I also have T. Higgins in the tier.
Okay. Okay, good. Just to bring a little bit of clarity on that, in case anyone's wondering, T. Higgins for me, I really want you to go look at specifically the playoff run, because in the playoffs you're going to see a lot of teams look at a lot of film from the offense, that year that they're facing, and you saw a lot of teams adjust to Jamar Chase. They weren't able to stop him.
Exactly.
But I don't think that T. Higgins and Jamar Chase are going to be all that far off this year in what they're able to produce. And I think if you don't think T. Higgins is an elite talent, then understandable. But he's had production with multiple quarterbacks. He's done it, multiple different times in the playoffs. Specifically in the Super Bowl, he was the most important wide receiver there. Obviously,
he was.
That is because of the way the defenses were covering Jamar Chase. So Jamar Chase really helps T. Higgins here. Okay, I also have 3 other players in this tier: Debo, Keenan, and AJ. I don't know where you stand here.
That's perfect. Debo, Keenan, and AJ. That's exactly what I have. Obviously in different order. CD, Keenan, Debo, Mike, T, Tyreek, and AJ are all in this tier for me.
Awesome. So there's no one else that you have in this tier that I haven't put in.
No one else. Obviously, I had Devontae Adams at the very top of this, but I was happy to move to the S tier.
I feel pretty good about that then. Let me tell you a player that I was really struck. Okay, so just quickly, is there anyone in particular on this list that you want to talk about before we move on?
I guess the one that I struggled with was Tyreek. He's at the end of this list. I don't know where he's at for you.
Okay. He's right here where this is exactly how my tier looks.
Okay. For me, he's at the end of this list. He's a guy I do believe in Waddle and everything, or not Waddle, in Jalen Hurts, but I think for me it is more of it's a change of offense. I believe I just believe it's going to look different, and his workload is going to look completely different to what it did at Kansas City. That's why he will be at the end of this tier for me. But other than that, I mean, Keenan Allen, I think he's going to pick off where he left off. The targets are going to be there. And I guess if there was one more person, just Debo, I think there's a question mark. I have him right in the middle of this tier for me.
Sure.
Just because I think he can lean either way. He can pick up where he left off, or is he going to get injured again? Is he going to go back to his old ways, or is this offense going to change with Trey Lance? So those were the question marks, at least. Debo and Tyreek.
Range of outcomes are quite significantly high with a guy like Debo. Keenan probably feels safer than T. He probably feels safer than Debo, AJ, and Tyreek. But I don't think his upside is as high as those guys. So there's a trade-off here between upside and safety.
Yeah.
A guy that I really, really wanted to place in this A tier, desperately, I wanted to do it, was Allen Robinson.
Right.
I couldn't do it at the end of the day. He's my wide receiver 13. He's been on the edge of 13 and 12 back and forth this entire offseason.
Yep.
But he is at the absolute top of my B tier. And he's someone in probably the 5th round I really want to target. You might have to grab him in the 4th if wide receivers go early. But he feels like a really ideal 4th, 5th round target. Do you have him in this tier as well?
I don't have him in the A tier. I do have him in the B tier, which yes, you did say. I do have him right in the beginning of B tier, just like you. So I think we both see Allen Robinson in the same light. He's actually my wide receiver 13 as well. So I think that really helps.
Same. I have Jalen Waddle in this tier.
Yep, Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
I have Jalen Waddle, Deontay Pittman. Yep, Deontay Johnson. I know maybe that's could be a little bit tough for you.
No. I have in redraft leagues. I agree. He should be
okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Here's the funny thing. Like, I feel like I need to put him in this tier because I think he is the best wide receiver on that team.
Okay.
But at the same time, I do kind of feel like I'm probably avoiding him for some other options on the board. But anyway, I do agree he's in this tier. Who else did you have in this tier?
I actually have Cortland Sutton.
I have
in this
5
tier.
more players.
Yeah, I have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy in this tier as well.
Okay.
I don't know.
So I also have Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy in this tier, but I have other people ahead of them, which would be Mike Williams and Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, I have Mike in this tier as well. I don't have Hollywood in this tier.
You don't have Hollywood. Okay.
But I guess you won't be surprised because he's not really far off from the B tier.
So the other 2 players that I have in this tier that you don't,
I'm assuming
would be
Terry.
Hollywood Brown and Terry McLaurin. I feel like Terry just signed the big deal.
For sure.
As funny as it is to say, he hasn't played with a quarterback like Carson Wentz, and he's still been good in fantasy. Talking about someone whose career has survived on Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith, one-legged Alex Smith, Taylor Heineke, guys.
Right.
And he just got paid the most guaranteed, or the biggest bonus. Think about how impressive that is. You just got the biggest bonus in the history of wide receivers, and your quarterbacks were Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, Alex Smith,
Kyle Allen,
and Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke, yeah, man, it's tough. Look, I don't have him in that tier. I do.
I have, this is just how I have it. We can talk about these two guys, but I actually have Hollywood ahead of these two Broncos. I have Mike Williams ahead of these two Broncos. So this is how it actually would look for me. But I'm assuming we're going to have to meet in the middle on one of these players. And so I can only choose either Hollywood or Terry here.
I'll tell you, I actually have Hollywood and Terry at the beginning of my C tier. Okay. It was really hard for me to make that decision. I did choose Hollywood because he does have the more solidified quarterback. That's why he's at the very beginning of my C tier. And I believe, those 6 weeks, Terry, I hear you. I just think that I have to see it before I believe it. We've been saying it every single year.
Why is Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton there then?
Yeah, because once again, the quarterback play.
Yeah,
it's just,
that's what I'm saying. You have to see it to believe it.
I have to see it to believe, and that's why it's tough. That's why it's tough, because I do believe in Terry's talent.
Michael Pittman is there, and Carson Wentz was his quarterback last year.
Anyway, sort to believe it, but yeah, I hear you.
All right, we'll put Terry in the C tier. I don't feel like because the next players that I'm going to say, I don't feel like I'm drafting them
over
with the same confidence that I'm drafting Terry. Like I feel much more confident in Terry, but let's talk about this C tier. I'll advocate. We'll have Hollywood Brown there, and I'll meet in the middle, put Terry down here. Who is in this tier for you? Is DJ Moore, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I have DJ Moore, Juju, Bateman. I have Brandon Cooks as well in this tier.
Okay. I'm just seeing if I have everyone that you do. Brandon Cooks. So, yeah, I do also have DJ Moore, Brandon Cooks, Juju. I have other players. Is that all that you have in this tier?
No, I have other players as well. I was just waiting for you.
I got DK.
I do have DK as well.
I have Godwin.
I put all these guys that are kind of in question, like, just to be clear, like the Calvins, the Godwins, the DK, off to the side in the beginning, and then I don't know if you wanted to talk about them and their value.
Okay.
Just because, maybe not DK specifically, because he's not technically injured or not playing because of off-season, off-the-field issues. But yes,
the other two players that I have in this tier that aren't currently up there would be Godwin, Mooney, and Adam Thielen.
Right. Okay. So I have Adam Thielen, and I also have Mooney as well, with Elijah Moore at the end there.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's tough. I don't have him anywhere like near the beginning of my D tier.
Sorry, I also have Devonta Smith here.
Oh, and I don't have him anywhere near the beginning of my D tier either.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have all those guys towards the end, because I definitely have DK, DJ Moore, and Adam Thielen above those guys. So they're at the end of my C tier, but maybe you don't even have them in the D tier.
I'm trying to find out where Darnell Mooney is. Like, okay, here. Sorry. So we both had Darnell Mooney in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 receivers still ahead of Elijah Moore and Devonta Smith.
Okay.
So they are quite significantly out of my C tier. Again,
okay.
Am I drafting Elijah Moore and Devonta Smith with the same confidence I'm drafting Terry? I just don't feel like.
And I think
I don't have anywhere near the same confidence
sure.
in those guys that I have in Terry, that I have in Brandon Cooks, that I have in DJ Moore.
And I know it's a tier break, and I know, like, is it the confidence? I think, like, that's why I was confident putting someone like Terry in Hollywood at the very beginning, because I do believe there's going to be a tier break, a significant tier break in points, in my opinion. Talent for sure. I think it's points that I was thinking about, and I think all these guys could potentially finish and average the same amount of points. But I hear you. The talent in the thought
Okay.
process is definitely more significant in
All right.
another tier.
Well, I again, I don't have Elijah Moore, Devonta Smith anywhere
So let's
near
talk
this
about the D
tier.
tier then.
So why don't you tell me one that you want to advocate for? Because I have
How
both
if
of them significantly below this tier, but which one do you want to advocate for? I will let you advocate for one.
I guess it depends. I guess it depends on where you have the other guys. But if I had to advocate for one, it would be Devonta Smith. I think
Okay.
with AJ Brown, and I know a lot of people won't agree with this, but with AJ Brown coming in, I do believe it helps him take the next step. This may sound crazy, and Jalen Hurts, I believe in Jalen Hurts and what he's going to do. This offense is going to open up. I do believe they brought in AJ Brown to pass the ball more, not to run the ball more, and continue with what they did this past year. Jalen Hurts is still going to do his thing on the ground, but I do believe in the quote unquote year 2 of Jalen Hurts as a starter in this offense. So I would rather keep Devonta Smith than Elijah Moore because there's a lot more mouths to feed maybe in not a really amount. I think that's pretty even, but I believe in the talent of Devonta Smith.
Sure. Yeah, we can put Devonta Smith there. I am very much on the opposite side of that.
Sure. I'm interested to see who you have on the D tier.
Yeah, so at the beginning of my D tier is actually Russell Gage.
Okay.
Do you have Russell Gage in the D tier?
He is in my tier.
Okay.
My D tier.
So, and this one's going to be controversial, but I would definitely draft Russell Gage over, some of these other guys that we're about to talk about. I just feel so much confidence in him. We don't know how many games Godwin is going to miss. And look at what Tom Brady was able to do last year. He was able to make 3 wide receivers top 12 wide receivers in points per game. He was able to make Gronk a top 5 tight end, top 3 tight end in points per game. And now we're coming back, less options. Russell Gage is going to be a very important part of this offense. By the way, Tom Brady last year led the league in passing yards, attempts, touchdowns. What else do you want? I mean, Russell Gage is going to have a fantastic year.
Yeah.
After Russell Gage, I have Treylon Burks and Drake London.
Okay.
Do you have them in this tier?
I have Drake London, not Treylon.
Okay. So you don't have Treylon, that's fine. We can talk about that later. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown in this tier.
Yeah, I have Amon-Ra. I have Gabriel Davis. I have Kadarius Toney. I have Chase Claypool.
Oh no.
That's why it's gonna be hard. That's why I wanted to see. That's why I wanted to see your D tier, and then maybe we can maneuver Smith or Moore, because I think that I would get a better understanding of how you are viewing these players.
Okay. I don't have Claypool anywhere near this tier.
Okay.
Gabe Davis is at the beginning of my F tier.
Okay.
And Tony is even further than Claypool. So this is going to be really hard here.
It's definitely going to be tough.
I have Christian Kirk in this D tier. Do you have him? Yes or no?
I don't have him in this tier.
Son of a bitch. Okay.
What about Brandon Ayuk? Is he in this tier? I don't.
He's in my F tier.
He's in my F tier. Okay, that's fair. He's in my F tier as well. I don't. Let me tell you. Okay. Let's get these guys out the way. I
have Elijah Moore in the D tier.
Okay, you have Elijah Moore in the D tier. Do you have anyone else in this D tier besides Elijah Moore?
Yes, I have Treylon Burks, Christian Kirk, Amari Cooper, and Michael Thomas.
Okay, Amari Cooper, Michael Thomas. So Amari Cooper and Michael Thomas are in my F tier.
Okay. I mean, the way I view them is, the offenses might not be great, but these are both guys who can be serving as a wide receiver 1 on their team.
For sure.
I think they're going to have plenty of opportunity.
For sure.
So, yeah. I mean, I trust them way over some of these other guys who are wide receiver 2s and 3s on their team who, best case scenario, they might be getting 6 targets a game.
For sure. And I think and I hear you on that. And that was also a struggle for me. And once again, I was going based off offense and like the points that they could be averaging. These guys may be wide receiver 2s. I believe, they do have a better chance coming into this year, finishing higher, for specifically on Amari Cooper and Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, if he can come back and say, I'm 100%, let's ride. I haven't been on the field in a year and a half. I'm down. Let's take Michael Thomas. But
so here's what we're going to have to do here, because we disagree so vastly on this D tier. I think you and I are going to have to choose 3 players each that we want to advocate to place into this tier. I'm going to advocate for Treylon Burks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to advocate for Christian Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the amount of targets he's going to see, he probably should be higher, in my opinion. And I'm going to advocate for Amari Cooper. Those are the 3 players I'm going to advocate for here.
So
who are the 3 that you're going to advocate for?
So the people that you don't have in tier, just to clarify, in this D tier is Gabriel Davis, Kadarius Toney, correct?
Yeah, I don't have them. I don't have Claypool in this tier either.
You don't have Claypool in this tier.
So those the 3 that you want to advocate for?
Those are the 3. Let's advocate for those 3.
Gabe Davis,
Kadarius Toney, and Chase Claypool for me.
Okay, cool. And look, Benaki and I are going to have these players ranked very differently.
Mm-hmm.
Toney, I mean, I don't have Toney. I mean, I got a lot of people ranked ahead of Toney that we're going to talk about here in a second. We only saw really 1 or 2 games, and that worries me to just go ahead and draft him over some of these other guys. But at the same time, the upside is definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
So look, we're going to have these players ranked in different spots, but these were the ones. This is why this video is so hard to make.
It is.
We just disagree on things. Okay, so Gabe Davis was at the beginning of my F tier, but now that would make Chris Olave at the beginning of my F tier.
Correct.
Okay, and you have Olave in this tier, right?
I have Olave in this tier as well.
You have Michael Thomas in this tier?
I do have Michael Thomas in this tier.
Okay, I also have Garrett Wilson.
I have Garrett Wilson in this tier.
So you didn't have Garrett Wilson in your D tier?
No, I don't.
So why more confident on Elijah Moore than Garrett Wilson? One was drafted, way higher. I'm just curious.
For sure, and I believe in the talent of Zach Wilson and Elijah Moore. Second year in this offense. Not saying Garrett Wilson is not more talented than Elijah Moore, or can't produce and be a fantasy 1 wide receiver or whatever the case may be. I think the ball is going to be spread out a lot more, and I do believe that safety net could be Elijah Moore purely because Corey Davis is on the outside, Garrett Wilson's on the other side. Elijah Moore is going to be in the slot. More work, more opportunity, more targets, in my opinion, for Elijah Moore coming into this season.
All right, I have Sky Moore here.
Yep, brother Sky.
I got Brandon Ayuk.
Yep, brother Ayuk.
I got Hunter Renfrow.
I think everyone else is here. I had Roberto.
Tyler Lockett. I don't have everyone like that's here.
I'm on the same page, but I think the people that we're gonna. Anyways, I hear you. I don't have everyone on the same tier as well.
Alan Lazard. Mm-hmm. I got D-Hop in this tier. I mean, hard not to put him in a tier.
Mm-hmm.
I got Christian Watson in this tier. And then I have Jahan Dotson as well. Everyone else I don't have in this tier. So I didn't put Jameson Williams in his rookie season, Alec Pierce or Pickens. Obviously, Calvin Ridley's not, he's not playing this year.
Yeah.
So did you have any of those 4 in the set tier, though?
I have those 4. And the reason what I wanted to say was I didn't, at the initial point, I didn't know where I wanted to put him. And that was Chris Godwin and DeAndre Hopkins are going to be expecting to miss some time.
Yeah.
And we've been saying this in a redraft perspective a lot, is it worth drafting DeAndre Hopkins, 6-game suspension, 7 with a bye week there? Chris Godwin, is it going to be 6 weeks? What's that bye week looking like? When is that bye week?
He came out and said he wants to be ready by week 1.
Yeah, and
let's see.
It's just
doesn't
the
mean it's going to
marks.
happen, but
exactly, it's just the question marks. I believe in the talent. Chris Godwin is starting week 1. Maybe he's going into my B or C, my B tier. Because that's how much I believe in him.
Oh, if Godwin was starting week 1, I would probably have him in my A tier.
And same thing with DeAndre Hopkins. It's not. I didn't have him in the tier specifically because I don't know if I want to invest in any of these guys.
Okay, so you don't have Godwin or D-Hop in a tier in general.
I didn't, no, but purely because of the injury one and the suspension. But if I did have to put them in the tier, those would be B or A for either one.
Okay, fair enough.
Of these guys,
sure. So
it's a little bit mixed up here.
This is interesting. It definitely. I mean,
obviously we can advocate for all these guys. I mean, we can kind of go forever. I think
our individual tiers would look quite different from is what I imagine. I mean, technically, we advocated for these guys, so kind of have to spread them in between or whatever. But this would look totally different, and our rankings are continually changing. Anyone who's over there on Patreon has access to our rankings, and I think if you do your own rankings, I think this tier list really makes you make really hard decisions and solidify your tiers. So I would suggest doing them. We'll try and put a link in the description if you want to try your own tier ranking. You can put it in our Discord or tag us on Twitter or whatever case may be. So let us know what you think about this in the comments below.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos,
watch it.
You can also subscribe
right now
if you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/Fantasyland Fam.